bully beef, gone. Sardine, gone. Mackerel, gone. Shelf just bare. You know, it sounds mad and it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but who knows what they're putting in, you know, the vaccine? Are they putting a chip in there that they can further monitor us? Is this media hype?
Bless and welcome to the COVID-19 experience, where ORT looks primarily, but not exclusively, at the African diaspora's experience of living with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Organize, sit down, reason and talk.
Today, we're speaking to Cherrie.
Cherrie, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, welcome and thank you for giving us this interview and sharing us your views in terms of COVID-19 and the lockdown, which are two separate things. And what is it you'd like to tell us of your experience?
Well, my experience started maybe about 3 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago.
Okay.
Firstly, I was hearing about the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
In the actual news itself, but wasn't really focused on it at all because it hadn't actually hit English shores. We were more likely hearing that it was hitting China, it was actually in Wuhan, and therein is where the actual problem lied. About 6 weeks ago or 7 weeks ago is when I really started to focus in on what was actually occurring, because obviously it hit Europe. I think I was watching more of the news in relation to the virus hitting Europe and people dying, in Italy and Spain.
Mm-hmm.
When it started to hit these shores, I think that's when I really started to become more concerned.
Okay. And where are you based?
I mean, obviously, I live and work in London.
Okay.
I live and work in London. So obviously, from the news, you noted that the British government wasn't taking immediate action. They were obviously watching what was going on in Italy and Spain. And then I think about maybe it's lockdowns. This is the 4th week we've been in lockdown. And I think about, as I said to you, 6 weeks ago, there were meetings held at work. And then, you started to see my colleagues, although I suppose we were in one sense kind of laughing and joking about it in terms of what do the symptoms look like? Will everybody get the same symptoms?
Right.
And you start to see people absent from work, like one by one. When you look around the office, people look like managers were going, you didn't see managers in the office, the staff numbers were dwindling. And then 3 weeks ago, then all of a sudden, instead of staggering the staffing team, there was a total lockdown.
So why were people not turning up to work?
A lot of them obviously had autoimmune systems.
Okay.
Underlying
Their immune
health
system was
issues.
compromised. Okay.
Yeah, the health issues were compromised. And then I just totally said to members of staff, okay, we're staggered the timetable. One person will come in 1 day a week. And then I turned around and said, you know what, we're not coming in at all. We're gonna work remotely. And that's what we've been doing ever since. In terms of home life, obviously, coming from a Black culture and being raised the way that I've been raised, I've always been told, ensure that you have certain items or products in your cupboard. So ensure you have, I suppose, like rice and flour and oil and corn in your cupboards. Because if and when necessary, you can boil 2 dumplings, make a cornmeal porridge, or boil some rice. And also the fact that I actually bulk buy food. So in terms of meat or fish, I go to Brixton and I purchase my hard food like my yam and green banana, my pumpkin every 2 weeks, and also do the meat shopping. Okay. So in that respect, I didn't have any problems at all. It was like the smaller items. So in terms of the shopping aspect, going to the market, that wasn't a problem. It was going to the supermarket that I encountered. I found quite stressful.
Okay.
because, you know, because of people's mentality, you found that when you'd go into the supermarket, and I'm talking about the superstores, there was literally nothing on the shelves. And that was like buying small items. So small items like, what can I think of? Like buying some salt.
Right.
Or buying buying salt, buying like soy sauce. I'm not talking like big massive items, buying paper towels. The shelves were completely empty. And they were saying there was no need to panic buy, but people were panic buying. And
But
what I found,
they said people shouldn't panic buy, but then they got the worries about the coronavirus on 24-hour news. They've got the signs up about stay home and keep people safe and all the rest of it. So I'm not saying people should ignore those things and not panic, but it's not as simple as not panicking, I don't think.
I mean, yes, I understand in that respect, but then you heard what the government said. Don't need to panic buy. There's food. You know, there's not a food shortage in the UK. You know, you can't. There will always be stock on the shelf. I mean, obviously, as I said, I went into one of the superstores, and small little items, they were gone. The shelves were empty. They were bare. You know, as black people, you know, for those who eat meat, I thought to myself, well, let me pick up 2 tin of calm beef, 2 tin of bully beef, so I can fling it in the back of the cupboard just in case, you know, or a couple of tin of mackerel, you know, fling them back of the cupboard. All of a sudden, people might find it funny, but bully beef gone, sardine gone, mackerel gone, shelf just bare. So that was interesting.
You know, when you're talking, sorry, Cherrie, you know, when you're talking about the public not panicking, do you remember when the petrol was running out some years ago?
Yeah.
And do you remember the petrol station, the gas station, and the line of people there trying to fill up their cars as much as possible?
I do. And I understand what you're saying. You know, that what they did was obviously the fear factor was there.
Yeah, man.
Got this deadly disease on your shores or possibly at your front door, and you don't want it to transmit to you or your family. So therefore, you want to keep your family safe, which is fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact that I went shopping on that occasion and found it a very frustrating and stressful experience.
No, fair enough.
Although, you know, since then I've been to the supermarket and I have been able to get what I need.
Okay.
And I've been able to stock up my cupboards for, you know, 2 weeks or so, and then go back and pick up the little items that I need. But I found that I've also had to phone ahead in terms of the meat shop and fish shop in Brixton to ensure they've got meat, just in case there's a shortage.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of being at home and working from home, I suppose the first couple of weeks or in the initial stages, it was fine, no problem at all. I found that, I think it was last week or the week before, I felt like I was climbing the walls because it felt like I was being controlled. And I felt like a prisoner in my own home. You felt like you could have going out only once a day.
Yeah.
Who does that? You know, unless you're sick or you're elderly and unable and you're not mobile, usually can go out freely, so to speak. But being under such restrictions, I found that difficult to deal with, and that social interaction as well.
Yeah. And you know something that comes to mind when you speak about that is that sometimes you may only go once a day, you know, but it's when the right is removed from you.
Yes.
It now feels like you're more confined.
Definitely. And that's what it is. Our rights have been removed from us. You know, I've been told by family members that their friends in turn have gone out 4 times for the day, and they have received text messages on the phone to say that we know you've left your house. And if you proceed to conduct yourself in this manner, you will be fined.
Text from who?
Well, it looks like the government, an agency of some sort, you know.
So surveillance, the Orwellian society is already here then.
There is surveillance. I mean, we always know Big Brother's watching us and they know a lot about us. I mean, we are on contract phones, so, you know, anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only going by hearsay and what I've been told. And I don't doubt it. Yeah.
Well, funnily enough, one of the means by which Wuhan was able to contain COVID-19 was through surveillance, facial recognition, monitoring your movements via phone. So it wasn't just social distancing and other measures. Surveillance was a key implementation in managing the spread of the virus. So I wouldn't put it past Western governments to try the same strategies to try and manage it.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is that their government took too long to act. They took too long to act, and the question we have to ask is, why do they take so long to act? You could see what was happening, you know, in terms of people are dying here. You know, when are you going to implement measures to stop this virus from spreading? And to be honest, I don't think they truly knew what they were actually dealing with.
Mm.
For the mere fact is they initially said it was the elderly. It was like an elderly disease. Then you started to see the age of those people dying. It was coming down to the youngest is what? It was 18, if not younger. And then the other two, at least a week ago or a week and a half ago, a 12-day-old baby contracted COVID. Obviously a newborn, you know? So I think that actually the government has to be held accountable for a lot of these deaths.
And what about the announcement that people of African ascendance couldn't catch it? Because that was something else that was said in the very
no, initially, I have to say maybe we in my mind I thought maybe we had more of a resilience. But obviously coming to find out, obviously we do not.
Well, the latest is that we are disproportionately getting it in higher rates.
Yes, most definitely. But then do these people have an underlying health issue? That is a question you have to ask. And are they those underlying health issues? Is it the underlying health issues that are killing these individuals, or is it the COVID-19? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
On the death certificate, is it COVID-19 or is it COVID-19 along with something else?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean? They're saying COVID-19. I saw this morning it's over 18,000 deaths that have actually taken place. 18,000.
In the United Kingdom?
In the United Kingdom.
Whoa, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. And we still don't appear to have peaked, or we're just peaking. So this lockdown is for the foreseeable future. It's not the next 2 weeks. I see it for at least another 2 months. If you want to ensure the health and well-being of your citizens, then it's got to be a longer period. No matter how much we feel, it doesn't matter how much emotionally impacts on us, that kind of strategy has to be in place.
So you're saying regardless of how we're being affected psychologically, we have to have the long-term objectives in our mind.
Definitely.
Okay.
As Black people, we're very much resilient and we've gone back to basics. You have to.
So hold on there. You're saying that as Black people we're resilient, but isn't there a lot of anxiety about us being predisposed and dying in higher numbers, disproportionately in higher numbers?
How do we know that that's true? How much of the population do you make up? How much? 10%, 13% maximum?
So you're suspicious about that narrative?
Sorry?
You're suspicious about that narrative then?
Yes, I am. I know people who told me their family members have passed. But I can tell you, with God's grace and mercy, nobody in my family has passed. You know? Everybody's well. And some of them have underlying health issues and they're well and they're safe.
So,
And
okay. Yeah, I get you.
is this media hype? You know, once the media latches onto a specific issue, they will run that issue to death if necessary. And I don't think it's necessarily always true. You know, look in your own family. Do you know what I mean? Look at your own friends. Are they safe? Are they well?
I've
And
had
the
a
answer
number of people die around me. Some of them have been in their 80s or 90s, but
right.
I've had people die in their 50s and younger. Whether it's COVID-19, whether it's just being classed as COVID-19, I don't know. But they are within this time frame, say from end of February, beginning of March till now. These are when these deaths have taken place. And there was no indicators in January or December last year that these persons were going to die at any time soon.
Right. So could their age could it just be their age was a factor?
I don't know. I mean, I personally, I'm suspicious about the narrative.
Right.
And there are many things that are happening simultaneously, like the 5G is going up and,
Yeah.
you know, what is the motive if this has happened? And I can't believe people are so clumsy as to just let it happen and just be slow to respond. But that's another topic, another time. This is more about your views and your experience. But it just seems very coincidental that so many things are taking place at the same time.
I mean, you know, I think at this moment in time, it's about keeping your family safe, really.
Of course.
Keeping yourself and your family safe, and so to say, kind of weathering the storm as much as you can. And the psychological effect, it can weigh heavy on you. But then we learn to adapt. You know, if it's about going, if we're restricted to that extent that we can only go out once a day, then once a day, so be it. Until we get back I suppose, our freedom, we might as well say.
I saw this week that they were saying that it may go until December.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
And why it stood out to me is that how they had it on the TV at the time, and they were saying that the pubs won't be open till December. So obviously they want to have a drink. And if that were to be the case, then I don't know if that is the new normal, but somehow I think about the protesters in parts of United States who actively just want to have back their life, and they said they prefer to die of the virus rather than being cooped up and lose their jobs and their liberty. And that's going to be a thought that we're all going to be entertaining, not just if it goes on to December, but if this is the new normal, then that's going to be a drastic change in the way we live our lives.
Almost definitely. Most definitely. But in comparison to America, I suppose in America, from what I've observed via the media, their job situation is I suppose I'd say slightly different. In terms of, we have a welfare system in place, and they work more independently, because I spoke to a relative and she's still working. She's still out there working. She's still out there grafting.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
When I said, "Are you not in lockdown?" She said, "No, I go to work every day."
What area does she work in?
She works in social care. So,
okay.
But she works like it's in a homes kind of setting.
Okay, residential work.
Residential. So she's out there every day grafting and working. But I think we have a welfare system that can assist. And you've heard it in the media that the people who are, you know, on zero contracts and such like I shouldn't say can, or will be able to access that service and those benefits.
80% of their salaries, but from what I understand, it's not a straightforward process. That doesn't mean they won't get it, but it's not as easy as just taking up the phone and calling them, and then you start to get 80% of your wages.
But
And also, Donald Trump
when it
has
comes to the government,
put in place some stimulus of trillions of pounds, trillions of dollars. So he has done something, but I think it's like $1,200 each person would get, which is still a very small amount. But yes, there is a difference. So tell me, what difference or what perspective do you have about this whole lockdown and the virus as a Black woman?
how does it impact me?
How do you think about it? How does your community think about it? What are the things that stand out to you as a Black person who is going through this?
I think there's more to this story, more to this virus than they're actually saying. I have to say, in terms of conspiracy, I did think maybe they're trying to cull the population for some reason.
All the population or the Black population?
Not the Black population. Initially I thought the older population, because I didn't hear in initial stages that there were any black people dying from the actual virus itself. It was mainly the elderly. So my theory was, I was thinking maybe they were trying to cull the older population, because obviously elderly people are living longer.
And by that you mean they're living longer and they're a drain on the system in terms of social care and looking after them.
So they are a drain on the system. So maybe they're culling the population in that respect. Do I still think that? Yeah, there's still a possibility. In terms of my community, in terms of my family and friends who I've spoken to, we're coping the best we can in this current climate. You know, I think a lot of us have adapted. We're doing what we need to do in terms of keeping our family going until told otherwise. I also think that, you know, to keep our mental health in check, we're doing our walks, we're doing our exercises, we're training in-house. And I know a lot of people at times have said they have felt low because they're used to social interaction. They're used to being out there in the community.
Okay.
So they're used to talking to people. And talking to people on the phone is one thing, but actually seeing somebody face to face, you know, being able to, you know, hug them, hug your family members, actually physically seeing them, knowing that they're okay, is a totally different matter altogether. Okay?
And what thoughts do you have about the whole thing as Black people?
As Black.
Yeah, what theories or what ideas do you have about the virus or the strategies or the Chinese, dare I say, you know, what
I do believe that it's going to be a vaccine, and I do believe it's going to probably be mandatory. I do believe that there's a possibility that it's going to impact on us in terms of, you know, if we don't receive the vaccine, then it's going to affect maybe our work environment, our possibility of working in the future.
Okay.
In terms of China, I also do believe this is a man-made virus and that is basically got out of hand. I've seen them, well, I haven't seen them. I have to say that I've seen them wanted to go into Africa or use Africa as guinea pigs, as lab rats, and certain countries taking up the offer. And it's a concern. But let's wait and see, really, in terms of if this vaccine is going to be mandatory. You know, it sounds mad and it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but who knows what they're putting in, you know, the vaccine? Are they putting a chip in there that they can further monitor us? You know, our whereabouts and such. Like it sounds like madness. It sounds way out there.
No, it doesn't.
But there's still that possibility, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, they waited this long to have the lockdown. What is the hidden agenda? And I do believe there's a hidden agenda. Yeah.
Definitely so. And in terms of your movements around London, what is it that strikes you about this lockdown? What things have you observed?
Yeah, there's nobody on the road. There is nobody. when I go for my walks, the roads are empty. The cars, if you see a car, because obviously I don't live in central London, I live slightly out.
Okay.
You see the cars, and the cars are few and far between. They're very few. Everybody's adhering to that social distancing when they're going into shops. Usually see somebody, and it could be the time that I'm going out. It's in the afternoon, towards the evening.
Okay.
But you see people going out early hours of the morning to the shop to keep that social distancing rule in place. But it looks kind of lonely. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And for those who don't have family, I'm sure they're finding it difficult in terms of I mean, people in general, but also people in our Black community. I have family members obviously live abroad as well, and I have elderly relatives that live in Jamaica, but don't live in like the central part of Jamaica. They live out
Right.
in the country area. And although I check on them every day anyway, two to 3 times a day, just when I ask them how are they doing, who's coming to visit them, they've said, Cherrie, I haven't seen anybody for a couple of days. But obviously when they go out shopping, they do see people, but then they go out early hours of the morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning. But
Right.
and they do have friends that regularly visit them, and still are. But he said when you look down at the end of the road, there's nothing. And obviously people in cars, they usually kind of not jam people in cars, but usually there's at least
man.
4.
Them jam them in a car. Call it to what it is.
I didn't want to say kind of jam them in the cars, but now I've been told there's only like 2 or 3 people allowed in a vehicle. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
This is what has forced them to change their behavior and their thinking.
Yeah, it's a
3
revolution.
people is better than 3 people is better than none.
Of course.
And you have to, and they've completely and utterly locked down, the whole of Jamaica, especially I think St. Catherine, which is obviously that Kingston end. Do you know what I mean? Because those people do what they want, but no, and the army and the police are on the road, so the curfew is 7 p.m. And they've locked up quite a few people who have been found to be on the road.
The one
to be on the road.
that would be me. If I was in Jamaica, that would be me. I'm a love Walk Street. So before we go, spiritually or in terms of your faith, what has this pandemic done to you? What has it changed? What has it made you do differently?
Have I prayed more? I've looked at I suppose because I have a compromising immune system, and I have a son that I care for, and I've just prayed that we all get through this. I have to say that we get through this, and we get through this. We get to the other side, and we see life differently. That we all know we're not immortal, but we treat people a bit better, We treat people with a lot more kindness, care for our loved ones more. Whatever's happened, the past is the past. Yeah.
Let bygones be bygones. Have more compassion.
Definitely.
I think that's a very powerful message, really.
Yeah.
Very powerful message, because as Em said, tomorrow is promised to no one.
Not to no one.
And I think that's something that we should all try to practice. It's not easy, even under these situations, it's easy to revert back to a very me, myself, and I type of attitude, but we should take on your words today. Thank you very much for your time. I'll probably speak to you in about a week's time, and you can give us an update on how you're doing.
You're welcome.
No
Most
problem.
definitely.
Thank you very much, Cherrie.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Have a good evening. Bye bye.
You too. Take care.
And we'd love to hear from you about your Black lived experience living with COVID-19. Included below are related links to this discussion. Please share, comment, and subscribe. And remember, talk the thing.